Nothing wrong with making a killer less like a person and more like a force of nature unless you have any interest whatsoever in actually caring about that killer. And personally, I like to care about things in films. And what might be most mind-boggling of all is that this guy actually won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. For what? He isn't playing anyone. God, I wish they had asked me to play Anton. I can bumble around aimlessly with a deadpan expression on my face for 5 hours. So then we are non-introduced to Llewellyn. Now, if you haven't seen this movie yet, I'm going to do you a big favor right now. When Llewellyn first comes on the screen, he finds a dying Mexican who asks him for water, which he denies, and he finds a bag of money. That's all that happens. Period. However, since the Coen brothers have no story to tell in this film, they decided that we need to spend 15 minutes establishing those two things, mostly by way of him strolling around aimlessly in the landscape. So to anyone who hasn't seen this film, when you get to Llewellyn's introduction scene, just skip the first 15 minutes, which is what the Coen brothers should have done. He denies a dying Mexican water and finds a bag of money. There, that's all you need to know. Just skip the first 15 minutes. So Llewellyn goes home and has a moment with his wife. Here we get just the bare minimum of what their relationship is like, but the scene's dialogue is so generic and the characters so empty that it really may as well be anyone sitting there. So since they didn't bother to develop this at all, I can only assume that they don't want us to care about the wife character. Fine. Later that night, Llewellyn has a bout of conscience and decides to take a jug of water to the dying man. Seemed to me that the dude needed more than water. Maybe he could have just made a phone call on his behalf or something, but whatever. Well, it turns out that the whole thing was a botched drug deal, and some dangerous men try to kill Llewellyn upon his arrival. They don't succeed, so Llewellyn decides to flee with the money. He sends his wife to her mother's house and then checks into a nondescript hotel. So Anton is later charged with the job of tracking down the money and is given a receiver to track the satchel. Then he pointlessly kills the two men that brought him here, and Llewellyn is so far unaware that the bag is equipped with a transponder. Meanwhile, Jones's character and his deputy track what's happened so far. They find Llewellyn's truck at the rendezvous point and inspect the dead men. That takes about 5 minutes too. Now, once again, we don't get any insight into anyone's character or anything. It's basically just them describing what happened here, which we already know. So now we're about a half hour into the movie, and all that's happened so far is that some random guy found a bag of money, and now some other random pointless guy is chasing after him. Half an hour, ladies and gentlemen. So then Anton breaks into Llewellyn's house. Oh, I'm sorry. I guess the film thinks that we need to see every single second of that, so I guess we're waiting on the film now. So once he gets in there, he kind of wanders around the house and Llewellyn's not there. So he kind of wanders around the house and Llewellyn's not there. So he kind of wanders around the house and Llewellyn's not there. So he kind of wanders around the house and Llewellyn's not there. So he kind of wanders around the house and Llewellyn's not there. So he kind of wanders around the house and Llewellyn's not there. Stop telling me to shut up. That's all that's happening in the film right now. Why weren't you telling the film to shut up? Fine, I won't even describe it. We'll just watch it. So anyway, after eating up some screen time with that pointlessness, he goes to the person in charge and starts asking questions.
Yes, sir. I'm looking for Llewellyn Moss.
Did you go up to his trailer?
Yes.
Well, I'd say he's at work. Do you want to leave a message?
Where does he work?
I can't say.
Where does he work?
Sir, I ain't at liberty to give out no information about our resident.
Where does he work?
Did you not hear me? We can't give out no information.
You know what? If you're just going to waste our time with random, pointless, time-killing scenes like this, why even stop here? Let's just keep going. So then Anton goes to Llewellyn's work. I'm looking for Llewellyn. He ain't here. Okay. So then he calls up information. I'm looking for Llewellyn. He ain't listed. Okay. And please do not either laugh or get pissed off at me. I'm dead serious. If they're going to waste time with pointless scenes like this, why not? So then Tommy Lee Jones and his deputy go to Llewellyn's house and just basically repeat the same pointless scene we saw when Anton was just bumbling around the house with a deadpan expression on his face. Once again, we learn nothing about anyone's character or story. They just basically reiterate what we already know. And then we get this shit.
You think this boy Moss has got any notion of the sorts of sons of bitches that are hunting him?
I don't know, he ought to. He's seen the same things I've seen, and it certainly made an impression on me.
What have you seen? What has he seen? Who are you? Who is he? Write characters, then make them say things like that. You know what? I'm actually pissed off and fucking sick of even talking about this. I'll just see you all in part 2. Welcome to part 2. I want to go back and talk about something that I said in part 1. It has been brought to my attention that when Jones's character said that Llewellyn had seen the same things he had seen, and it certainly made an impression on him, he was referring not to either of their general past experiences, but to the scene of the botched drug deal they both witnessed. My reason for bringing this up is not just to correct my mistake, but to inform you that's actually worse. That actually pisses me off even more, and it's a testament to how shitty this movie is. See, it never even occurred to me that that could be what they were talking about, and here's why.
9mm. Couple 45 ACPs. Somebody unloaded on that thing with a shotgun.
How come you reckon the coyote ain't been at him?
I don't know.
Got any notion of the sorts of sons of bitches that are hunting him?
I don't know, he ought to. He's seen the same things I've seen, and it certainly made an impression on me.
When did it make an impression on you? All you did when you got over there was just bumble around in the landscape with a deadpan expression on your face. It made no impression on you. You were just bored. Write characters, then make them say things like that. Now, I do want to apologize for one thing that I said in the previous part. I had made a little parody involving Anton visiting Llewellyn's work